All right, welcome back. So, got the Losi. So, what I ended up doing, like we talked about, I went ahead and changed the punch level. Didn't move the timing. So, the only two changes we've made is to the brake. Brake's at 25%, which it's been there since it first started spinning out. And we moved the punch level up from 4 to 5. Factory setting is 4. I moved it up to 5. So, I still have the Pro Line reactions on here. No foams in the rear. And I fixed the body. So, if you notice, both headlights are back in. Drove down to the road today. I want to say 12 hours later. And the lens was still sitting in the road down there where it flipped and crashed. So we got the lens put back on. The other change that I made in doing the video, you guys saw late last night, or if not today, I extended the antenna wire. And somebody in the comments, which I pinned the comment in the last video, said that it could be dropping the BEC voltage, the 6-volt voltage. It could be losing the voltage and cutting the receiver for a split second when I'm going from full trigger and then down to brake. That initial hit on the brake is drawn too much and it's losing reception. And then if it loses that voltage in any way between that radio and this car, it would just kick it into reverse. So it made sense to me on what the guy was saying. He was saying put a glitch buster. And a glitch buster, all it is, it's like a cat pack. I add cat packs to my speed cars. And what a glitch buster is, and here's the one I'm using. It's called Power HD. I have a couple of these, I think 2 or 3 of these things. I use these on steering servos that draw a lot of power. Some of your steering servos, especially the cheaper ones, will come with a glitch buster when you buy them off eBay, because when you crank that wheel left and right and you keep cranking it back and forth, it could actually draw so much voltage that you end up losing radio reception. So with some of those receivers, they'll give you a glitch buster, and that's why I have 3 of them. I basically put them off to the side, never really needed them because I wasn't having any of those issues. But it's just a capacitor that operates at a low voltage. It's a 6-volt capacitor instead of, you know, like Phil Jolly does. 6-volt capacitors for 6S, and he does the 8-volt capacitors for 8S systems. And all they do is on that full trigger pull, and when you're dragging it out and it's requiring all that voltage from your battery, for the seconds that we're in it on speed runs, it will discharge all the cat pack and keep the ESC, you know, from starving for voltage. Well, that's kind of what the glitch buster is doing. You plug it into an empty channel on your receiver, and if when you're hitting the brakes or turning the steering or anything that the receiver requires that 6-volt from the ESC, because that's where it gets the 6-volt, if the battery is falling off to the ESC, well, it can't supply the 6 volts to the receiver to keep the signal there, which made a lot of sense when the guy said it. So I went ahead and threw in right here. I have it zip tied up, but I have it plugged into the BS receiver. It's a 6-volt cat pack, basically. They call it glitch buster because something's glitching. It's basically a 10-volt cat or capacitor. I call them caps because all they are is caps, and what caps do is when you plug in the battery, they suck the voltage and they hold that voltage, and it'll never discharge until something needs the voltage. As soon as it needs the voltage, it's going to discharge its whole load and keep that power to the receiver. So that's what's going on. Kind of like when we wire, like this has caps right here, small caps that are wired into this. In case this loses, it'll discharge those caps to this to keep the motor turning. I've never needed a glitch buster, but it made sense, so we're going to give it a shot. I'm going to go outside right now. I'm going to start double tapping the brake to, you know, to simulate trying to kick it in reverse while it's going forward. We're going to see if this thing kicks into reverse. It wasn't kicking into reverse yesterday at low speeds, only at top speed. So it could be a top speed thing, you know, to where it's taking all that energy, and as soon as I let off, the battery can't recover fast enough, because like I said, I'm running a mini pack here. And the mini pack, I've noticed after 4 runs, I'm dropping to 3.8589, 390 each cell, which is under the 4 volts, which I'm not getting the top speed or anything out of this battery anymore. So the first 1 or 2 hits, the shorty packs do really well. You start doing 5, 6, 7, 8 hits on it, you're just gonna fall off. You're just gonna be killing the battery. So normally you only have to run 3 back-to-back runs, because it's 3, the best out of 3. Hopefully you can just win the first 2 and be done with it. But it's best out of 3 normally. So I can get 3 to 4 runs out of it, so I'm set up pretty good right there. So I'm gonna get the lid put on this thing. I'll meet you guys outside. We're gonna get this body put on, and hopefully I don't crash anymore. I would run it without the body, but I don't want to damage the electronics. I'd rather scratch up this body than cause issues with this thing flipping over. With the tires being so mushy now in the back, it's, like I said, it's really having a hard time if it starts to slide. Like before, it would just slide and it would just spin around and then shoot off into reverse, and then I learned to go ahead and hit full trigger, and I can stop it from taking off in reverse and slamming into a curb backwards, because that's what was going on. So the road that I've been running on has been really big, and that's why I stopped running at my house, because of those speed bumps. I kept getting really close to those speed bumps, and one of those times I was going to run into that speed bump full bore, and this RC was going to go off flying. First spring that's collapsing on this one. I was going to take all the shims and unscrew it last night, but I said, you know what, let me check that spring. I left it all the way it was in yesterday's video for, it's been, I want to say 12-15 hours now. It's almost been 24 hours since the RC's been sitting that way, because it was about the same time yesterday that I ran it. If this thing starts shooting off left, I haven't made any changes to it. If it starts kicking left again, that means I'm losing tension in that left spring, and we're gonna have to get some springs ordered up, some good springs. I do have some Proline springs. They're just too stiff. I need a soft, tall spring is basically what I need. Something that's going to allow the rear end of this thing to squat. So by leaving it under load last night, you know, because that's the way the RC should be sitting, I don't want to have to keep unbinding these springs and then bind them up right before the race. They should be able to hold the tension I set them at least for a year. After a year, if the springs start going dead, no big deal. I have no problem replacing them. And remember, over time, parts should start going bad. So I'm going to get you guys put on my head. We're going to go out front. We're going to make some light hits in front of my house, and then I'm going to do some higher speed hits, full trigger hits, and see if I can get this thing stopped, and if it'll stop straight and stop flipping on its roof. So we'll be right back. All right, so we're outside. I also went ahead and recalibrated the receiver to the controller. Set all the settings to, basically you set your steering rate, your dual rate, all the way to 100%. You set your throttle and steering trims to 0, and then you do the recalibration procedure for the remote for the RC. I just went ahead and redid that just to make sure that I'm getting full reverse, I'm getting full trigger, that everything is working properly. So my steering dual rate is all the way up right now, and I'm going to leave it that way during testing, and we'll see how it does. So I want to show you guys me tapping on the reverse. So I'm going to get going. 1, 2, watch. 1, 2, 3, and then it kicks into reverse when it finally sees a 0. When it sees the motor not turning forward anymore, it will kick into reverse. But you should be able to double tap and pulse your brakes to a stop. And then when it comes to a complete stop, it will kick in reverse. Now, if the tires lock up, it could be doing that. That I'm not sure. See, like that. That's basically what I'm having going on. It's basically locking it up, going into reverse. Then it's sliding sideways and the tire can't stand the bite. And I can't turn the brakes down anymore. Yeah, it's still locking the rear up. Locking the rear up, and then it slides. So I think it's just a fault with the ESC. It doesn't have a soft brake setting. I really need a drag brake. Now I am noticing that it's leaning to that right front wheel. So I'm going to crank up this right front. Since I have adjustable shocks on it. See, and the right is cranked pretty far up. Maybe the front spring is collapsing too, for all I know. It's almost all the way up. Not leaning as bad. Loosen up that left one, I guess. Try loosening up this left front. See if I can try to get it to stop even. So if the front dips down and it puts all the weight on the front, it's kind of like the rear. You can stop it from kicking. There we go. Little kick. So I need to take more out of that left front. That helped a lot. It's not going to throw the weight up on the back wheels. I really think I have a spring issue here. I think the factory ready to run springs are just no good. See? It's still sliding the same direction. And doing that at 50 miles an hour is really going to amplify that. But I am jamming on the brakes fully. See, and that was barely touching the brakes right there. See, barely on the brakes. I'm not even full on the brakes. Yep. Well, I don't think it's signal. I don't think it's voltage. I honestly think it's the way the RC's programmed. The only way I'm going to be able to stop it from sliding is add a bunch of weight to the rear of this RC to keep those wheels planted. But with weight comes also crashing worse and crashing harder, and requires more power to get up to speed. So I don't know, maybe at this time I throw in a Mamba X and get rid of this smart system and just keep the motor. But comment below, what should I do? Looks like this factory ESC is not going to work for me. We're going to have to make a change to it. But there we go, guys. Figuring it out slowly. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you guys on my next video. Thanks for watching.